By 2003, the Neptunes were the genius behind nearly half the songs on the radio. Pharrell went on to be one of the most influential figures in music, and it's all because of his signature production. Today I'll be making a beat which breaks down those core Pharrell production techniques, including a simple easy trick to get smooth R&B chord progressions, which you definitely don't want to miss. Pharrell's first production technique is starting with the drums. Nowadays, 99% of producers are using a loop and then just throwing some drums on top of it. Pharrell's beats are all about the rhythm. Pharrell would often create the drum bounce first and then build a melody and chord progression on top of it, which then matches the rhythm of the drums. Take a listen to some of his biggest songs and you'll hear this production technique. Kick and snare are the two main drivers in a Pharrell beat, so I grabbed these sounds from the nostalgia pack and laid down a simple groovy rhythm. This brings me to Pharrell's second big production technique, playing in your sounds rather than clicking them in. Back in the 2000s, there was no FL Studio. People were in actual studios playing out their melodies, their synths, their drums, everything. Even in some of the newer Pharrell songs, the drums still have a bit of that human, off-the-grid feeling. So I went in, recorded the drums, but I'm honestly the worst at it. So for some of the notes that were a little too offbeat, I went in, manually dragged them, changed the velocities a bit, just to make it still sound good, but human. From there, we need percussion, and this is where a lot of producers mess up. They'll just add a shit ton of different percussion sounds and fill it in way too much because they think that's what Pharrell does. And that brings me to the third production technique Pharrell uses, and that is leaving space in the beat. Specifically after the snare, there's usually a gap in there and there's not too much going on. If you listen to songs like Frontin' or even some of the newer stuff like Cash In, Cash Out, you can hear there's much more space in the beats than you'll hear in like an average trap beat today. So I just added a few more sounds like this snare, which I actually used for a layer for the kick, a shaker and a hat, and then this weird mouth percussion sound, which if you know Pharrell, he loves these. From there, there's one more sound we need to add to tie the drums all together. Pharrell loves to add repetitive percussion sounds, which really drives the bounce and rhythm of the song. The most iconic use of this is the cowbell sound in Hot in Here. So I just laid down this repetitive perk sound from the nostalgia pack. Drums wise, there's one more thing we need to talk about, and that is layering. A lot of the old sounds in the 2000s just simply weren't good. They lacked depth, they lacked low end, high end, and in order to create good hard hitting drum sounds, you needed to layer 2 to 3 kicks together and 2 to 3 snares together to make one complete sound. But the key to layering is to take different characteristics from each sound that you like and then fuse them together. Before we even get into melodies, we need to talk about sound selection. Pharrell was known for using very dry, almost cheap sounding instruments, and I think this dryness is what helped give him that space that I talked about earlier. One of his signature synths was the Chord Triton, and that's what I'm going to be making most of the melody with in this video. Now the next major production technique is rhythmic chords. Pharrell's melodies didn't just sit on top of the beat like most other producers. Sometimes the melodies didn't even start right on the drop. They came in later as an accent to the drums. If you listen to these songs, you can hear how the melodies complement the drums. One of Pharrell's go-to sound combinations was a guitar as the main chord progression with an electric piano as the accents. I laid down these simple triads with the guitar from Triton and an electric piano from Analog Lab. The key to the progression is not complexity. These are very beginner level chords, but the magic all comes from the rhythm and timing of them. Most of Pharrell's beats were done right there. No crazy counter melodies, no big switch ups, but some of his songs were a bit more complex. My favorite example of this are the leads and strings you can hear on That Girl. There's something about this girl, man, from around my way. Every So I just laid down a bass, a bell, and a string, all playing simple melodies using notes that were already in the chords. Now we're going to get into my favorite part, the bridge. This is where I'm going to show you that super simple chord trick I mentioned at the start of the video. But real quick, I just want to tell you about the Nostalgia Pack. It's my 2000s multi-kit. This thing's got drums, loops, drum loops, perc loops, drum midis, the whole deal. Like I mentioned before, a lot of the other 2000s kits online, they're these old, unusable sounds. I went through, I mixed them all, I layered them together, I created sounds from scratch. And if you're trying to get into beats like this, I think this is a great place to start. The kit's on sale now, link in the description. Now let's get back into the video. Pharrell's production is often very simple and repetitive, but there's one huge thing he does which breaks the pattern and really catches the viewer's attention, and that's that he uses the bridge of the song to create an entirely new chord progression, which is usually a lot more R&B and jazzier. But guess what? There's a super easy trick to make these R&B style Pharrell progressions. And to break this down, I have the chords from the bridge on front end as an example here.
We got another one for real. I call you for real because you the truth.
The song starts out with this D major 7th, up to this F major 7th, up to a G major 7th, down to a D sharp major 7th. If you notice anything, they're all major 7th chords. Pharrell will literally take one chord and then just move it up or down. He also added a pretty groovy bass line to the chords as well, and I think that's what really spiced it up. So to my progression, I started with an A sharp minor 9th, down to an F sharp minor 9th, down to an F minor 9th. For the second half, it's the same thing, A sharp minor 9th, F sharp minor 9th, F minor 9th with different voicings. And then an A sharp minor 9th to end it off. I just used notes in the chords to build a groovy bass line, and just like that, I had a brand new, way more R&B, way smoother chord progression, which took zero effort at all. Another thing that makes this switch up so noticeable is that instead of the guitar being the main chord progression, now we have the Rhodes as the main chord progression, while the guitar is just simply an accent. I simply just layered that groovy bass line I made on the guitar, so it's not even playing chords, just that bass line. For the rest of the sounds, I followed the same principles as before, and that's how we got this final melody. Pharrell is a super producer, one of the most iconic in the entire world. And his sound really isn't that complicated. I really hope this video helped you. Comment down below who you want to see me next. Get the Nostalgia Pack, and I'll see you guys in the next one.